excited about our first guest because he is a genuine friend of the show, comes on and talks about all things in the workplace. Anton Guinea, good morning and welcome to you.
Robert, Cameron, thanks for having me, and hello Tanya, hope you're well. Hope life in Geelong is good for everyone and all of your listeners.
Well, it's good at the moment. It's always testing what's going on in other parts of the world, but life in Geelong, if you just put all that out, it's pretty good. And I suppose you up in the beautiful, beautiful Gladstone in Queensland, you're similar. It's perfect one day and beautiful the next, or the other way around.
That's right. Would you believe I'm actually on the Gold Coast today? Well, I'm in between Brisbane and the Gold Coast, and then I just heard Tanya read out that we lost a surfer's missing at the moment. That's a real shame. So I'm not far from that beach. Actually, I'm probably 10 or 15 minutes from that location. So
yeah, got plenty of...
our hearts go out to people that have suffered loss and tragedy.
Yeah, that's the thing about the ocean. It's a beautiful place to be for many, but it has its dangers, and we're constantly reminded of them. Certainly around our surf coast, it's got some areas that do require a lot of concentration. People need to be very careful. So, thinking of that circumstance and always thinking of people that head out into the surf, and that includes our good friend Alex, who just finished the breakfast show. He's probably heading down there now. He's a passionate surfer. He's probably looking for a decent wave. Workplace situations, we talked about them a lot. And one thing that's popped up a lot in conversations in the political aspect I follow is workplace productivity. And I gave you a little bit of homework in this space, Anton. We're being measured on it. Business people want more out of their workers. Workers probably want to do less if they possibly could, if they're not necessarily engaged. But as we've talked about before, if you're an employer and you've got an engaged workforce, productivity tends to look after itself in a lot of cases, but otherwise it is measured, and people are saying we need more from our workers. But there's different ways to look at it, and you found out some interesting differences between blue and white collar workplaces.
I did, and thank you for always challenging me to come up with really interesting information that I might not usually go and get. And you know, it's interesting, like I can speak from my own perspective. Since you and I spoke and I started doing some research, one of the people in our office came to me the other day and said, Anton, I'm feeling unproductive. I said, oh, okay, cool. And this particular person said, oh, can I work from home? And I think what she was saying was I was annoying her too much.
That's a nice way of putting that across.
I know, right? I thought, oh, okay, all good. And of course you say, yeah, whatever it is to grow engagement and to help your people be more productive. And here's the thing, that role is obviously a white collar role. And very generally what we're seeing around Australia is actually growth in productivity, which is interesting. If you look at white collar generally in Australia, and over the last couple of years, we've seen a 2.5% growth in productivity in white-collar work. Now, what the stats are saying is that that is probably due in white-collar sectors to digital tools, data systems, and structured process improvement, which obviously makes sense. And, those things, technology, lead to more noticeable efficiency gains. So, we're seeing that. But in the blue-collar work, or the blue-collar sectors, things like manufacturing, construction and trades, where manual labour, machinery, and it's really sort of obviously, it's human work, we're actually seeing still a growth, but it's only 1.2%. So it's sort of half the growth that we're seeing in the white-collar sector. And that was interesting to see that we are seeing growth in both sectors from an efficiency and a productivity perspective. But it's and of course then if you go to the ABS work productivity measures as well, what you see is that some trade, if you look at ABS, and yes, they're saying that productivity in those sectors rose by the percentages I shared with you, but wholesale trade, this is interesting, wholesale trade saw a substantial increase in productivity of 5.9%. And here's a really interesting stat for you. The mining sector experienced a noticeable decline in productivity of 6.7%. So we've got some sectors, and these numbers here are from 23, 24, so they wouldn't be 2025, just full transparency. But we are seeing a decline in productivity in some industries, and that's really interesting. Agriculture, forestry and fishing had reported the highest amount of productivity growth at 7.3%, which was interesting, whereas the arts and recreational services industry declined the highest at 8.6%. So I don't know what we can read into all of that. That actually, I'll tell you, here's what I took from that, is that every industry is different, and every industry will have their challenges. And I wonder whether it's not just employee or employer related. I wonder whether it's economic related. I wonder if there's some macro things at play. But I think what you said at the very start of the show was engaged employees will be more productive employees.
Yeah, well, definitely. And there's little things that muddy the waters, of course, and that is the workforce in the bureaucracy, which I think everyone knows tend to move a little bit slower than other forms of industry. So maybe they're pulling the numbers back. But let's look at the finance industry. We know that the banking sector and general finance and consultancy organisations continue to return ridiculously high profits. So clearly they're getting value for money from their workforce, you would think. So I'm not quite sure why they'd be screaming out for more productivity. Hard to measure with tools, though. That's a good point you made. Like now, AI is coming into it. There's lots of other different tools that they're giving that workforce to help them be more productive. In the building industry, which you tended to be more engaged in, have there been some changes there to make workers be able to be more productive, or is it just a simple case of, look, you built one house last week, we need you to build 1.2 houses this week, get working harder? How does it work to measure that productivity?
And I think sometimes it is as simple as that. I think, if I go to, and let's even chunk it down a little bit further and be very, very specific. And one of our clients is a car dealership, and they track obviously billable hours, or they don't call them that, but they call it an efficiency ratio as well. And so, an employee, a tradesperson, has got so many hours in their day, so they get 8 hours a day. So the business schedules them 8 hours of work for car repair or car servicing, and they're measured on that. And how do you improve that? Well, you get better at your job is really the main thing. And just understand your role, understand the car, understand what you're working on. But at the end of the day, I think it really is a skills thing. A lot of the time, efficiency, like you say, we can build one house for in the next 90 days, and we might be able to build 1.2 in the following 90 days if we get better at it. And I don't think it's yes, systems. Will AI, for example, technology help us build houses quicker? I don't know that it will over time. I don't know that technology is going to help. I really do. But could logistics, could the wall one going up, and I think smart business owners and business savvy construction companies, for example, are measuring these things and are looking for ways to improve. Because at the end of the day, efficiency is cost, right? No, well, actually, let's go back a sec. Efficiency, and having done a little bit of work around efficiency over time, I can remember, get this, the first time I was involved in what's called a time and motion study. Can you believe it? Back in the 1900s.
I was going to say it was a while ago.
I know, right? I was a first-year apprentice, and I had someone, the tradesperson and I, had someone standing there with a clipboard, measuring how long and timing how long it took to rewire a motor or to do this particular task. And all of a sudden they came up with all these efficiency improvements. And so I've sort of been around a little while, and as a business owner coaching small businesses, That's the one thing they look for. And we always look in small businesses for where's the loss, where can we save you some money during the process. And one of the ways you do that is you process flow stuff, or you process map things. And I think the savvy business owner will be doing that work, whether they are doing it consciously or subconsciously. And I think, like that car dealership, back to where I started with that specific example, I think the key thing is for small business owners. And I love what you said about the big business, the big end of town, who really do, create a lot of capital, and they very successful, and they're in the billions, obviously, in turnover, for example. But for the small construction company or for the small car dealership, they've still got to be looking at it as well. And I get why they are looking at it. But I think if you do it from a process mapping perspective, it's better than doing it from a person perspective. You can't say to a person, and start cracking the stock whip. You've got to be better at this, and you've got to be faster at that. If I was the employee, I'd say, hey, well, give me more training so I can get better at my job, so that I can do it.
Or give me more money.
Faster.
Yeah, if you're happy to pay me X amount last week to do that, and now you want me to do more, well, it's going to cost you more. And I suppose those conversations then put tension in a workplace that you don't really want. Well,
that can happen too, but especially in very small businesses, that is a challenge for business owners, and it's a challenge for employees too.
Let's look at work from home. You made an interesting point before. Your own business, you've got one of your staff members who says, I want to work from home. Now, you've got to make an assessment. Is that going to be good for me? Is this person going to be more productive, or maybe not any less productive but happier if they are working from home? But then again, someone that's sitting in the room might say, well, if they can do it, I want to work from home too. But you as a business owner have to say, no, that's not going to work, because you need to be here in this team environment. This particular person with the data entry job they've got, I can measure their work if they are at home, and if they're going to be, well, if they're saving an hour and a half every morning, having to get up, look pretty and drive to work, that's work that they could be doing at home, which is beneficial to us both. Those conversations are really making the workplace interesting now at the moment as well.
Oh, they are. And just from my personal perspective, I nodded and smiled, and I said, yeah, look, and for me it was just about what makes the employee happy. If they feel like they're going to be more productive, well, I hope that that's the case. Can I measure it? Absolutely. And we've had a talk about how we can measure productivity, and my calendar is a big measure of that, and what's in it and what's not, and how quickly we get back to people. So we got some real measures in our business. But for me, it was just an engagement thing. But here's the thing: my caveat was, as long as there's not something on that you need to be in the office for. So the first day that this particular person was supposed to be working from home, we had an important meeting in the business for a very, very large contract that we were trying to get over the line, and I really needed that person in the business. And the person said, of course, I get it. I'll be in there.
Yeah. And again, that's that engaged staff member. If they know what you require of them, they know what their skills they have to be able to deliver on that. If you two are constantly on the same page, well, you're going to have a happy and productive member of your staff.
Workforce. Correct. And I think you set the expectations, because when we had the conversation, I said, yeah, look, I'm happy with that, as long as you don't need to be here. And that person said, absolutely, I get that. So I'm probably lucky that I've got someone, and I've got employees, 3 of them that care about the business. And I'm really grateful and lucky for that. And I'm just, just so, relieved, I guess, because there's some business owners that I know that don't have the luxury that I have of having great staff. But at the end of the day, I'm flexible and they're flexible. So you always meet in the middle, and that's the thing. Like, I set expectations, but they set expectations too, and they've got boundaries. And this particular staff member, who's our business manager, and I'm surprised you probably haven't met her yet. It's just that you and I have a relationship where I put you in my calendar. Most people have to go through Deb to get into my calendar.
Interesting stat on the mining industry, agricultural industry I'm involved in, and I'm seeing great productivity rises there, and it's about investment in staff and also machinery. Definitely in the wool industry that I'm connected to, and harvesting crops, definitely seeing great increases in productivity because of investment in staff and machinery. That doesn't surprise me. Mining industry dropping 6.7. That is an interesting one and might be worth a look at.
It might be worth a look at. I'm not sure what would drive that, because, you know, like at a macro level, we've got self-driving trucks now. We've got, you know, a lot of mechanisation. We've got a lot of automation. Yeah, that was a stat when I saw it. I thought, oh, that's intriguing. I haven't gone any further into that, obviously, at the moment. But yeah, there's a few stats on there that would be, you know, you get why researchers have so much fun.
Yeah, I agree with that, and we have so much fun reading it. Anton, we will let you go back to doing what you do best, and that's keeping the country running. We appreciate what you do. Interesting conversation. I'm going to extrapolate on some of those figures you sent me and maybe do some research, and when we next get in, we might tap into another maybe reason why things are happening, and from your point of view, how can we make things better, which is something that you're constantly looking at.
Absolutely, and let's maybe if you're up for it, why don't we take your listeners on a bit of a journey through AI and where AI's been and what AI is doing in the future? Because I think there'd be a few of your listeners, especially business owners. You know, we just talk about AI very generally and technology, but I wonder if there's a conversation around what does AI mean to you in the future in the different roles that you have, whether you're a business owner, whether you're an employee, or whether you're a parent, for example.
Yeah. It is interesting, and we're tapping into that a little bit in a different manner, the way AI is being used, and also how it is or is not regulated, which is a bit scary, but you're looking at it from how it's helped you and your business, and that's a conversation we can certainly tap into next time.
Looking forward to it, Robert Cameron.
Thanks, Anton.
I didn't get a curly question from Tanya. So.
I was listening, and it'd be interesting to just unpack those stats, and especially with the correlation between things like personal leave and mental health in the workplace too, especially with the mining industry having such long hours and often time away from family. I wonder if that has impact on productivity. So.
I love what you said then, the correlation, because in stats, being a research, I've done a research project with the uni, and correlation doesn't mean causation. So, you know, there's always a relationship between stats and figures, and sometimes you've sort of got to, you know, like you just said then, go a bit deeper and try to find out what this number means and how it relates to another number, and I like that, yeah. Absolutely. More work to do in this space.
Good on you, mate. Best wishes. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thanks, Anton.
Love your work, team. Speak soon.
Anton Guinea.